This is MIcornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. Today I want to speak about church members that the leader or the pastor find it very difficult to rely upon. The church members that pastors are finding it difficult to rely upon. And I want to speak about this because you need to be reliable in that church. You need to be reliable in your local church, and your pastor should be able to rely on you. The church leaders should be able to rely on you. And every church member should actually be relied upon if we are to make sure that the vision of the church needs to be going forward. And I want to say this, that there are others that pastors can rely on, and they are not in majority. And in every church, we have very few people that pastors can rely upon, and majority of the people cannot be relied upon. But I want to speak about this so that those of you who are listening to us and you are in a church and not aware whether your pastor can rely upon you or not, maybe this is a lesson for you to realize that you cannot be relied upon, therefore work your way into being relied upon. Now, the first type of members that the pastor cannot be able to rely upon are those that never complete membership forms. They never commit, they never affiliate, they never commit themselves to be members of the church. Because remember, when you didn't complete your membership form and you didn't commit yourself as a member, it is easy when you are allocated tasks to tell the pastor who told you that I'm a member of the church, why do you allocate me the duties and the tasks? Why do you expect this from me while I'm not the member of the church? So other people don't complete membership forms purely because they don't want to be responsible. They don't want to be accountable to anybody. They don't want to be seen as part of this gathering or a part of this particular church. And that's the reason why they don't affiliate, they don't complete membership forms. So pastors are finding it difficult then to rely upon people that are not committed to the church, people that are afraid to affiliate and become part, people that are afraid to be associated with the church, because the pastor cannot rely on such people because he's actually not sure whether those people are members or not, whether those people can participate in the church or not. And that's very key, that you check if you have affiliated in this particular church as a member. Did you fill up a membership form? Were you welcomed as a member in the church? Are you part of the church? Because if you're not, then it's difficult for the pastor to rely on you. Secondly, we have in those members that come only on Sundays and care less about midweek services. And these are the people that are difficult for the pastors to rely upon, because if they see you only on Sundays, then that would mean that you are only a group that is coming like visitors in the church. Those people that are just attending to soothe their conscience that they are coming to church on this Sunday, and we have got majority of those. Some of them are just religious people that are not even saved, that are not even children of God, but they're basically just people that attend church. And therefore, when you see people coming on Sunday, don't take it for granted as a pastor that those are your members, because those are the people that are just attending because they feel they can attend the church, either because it's in close proximity, or also it could be just that they're enjoying something in that church, maybe a music that they enjoy, maybe they're enjoying the preaching, but that doesn't make them to be part of the membership of the church. They're just coming every Sunday because they just want to attend the church. They just want to fulfill themselves that have been to church this Sunday. Now, these are the people also that the pastor cannot rely upon, because if you're just coming on Sundays, therefore, you cannot be committed to anything else in the church. And we're having those that care less about church announcements as well. Well, when people start to care less about church announcements, you'll also know that these are people that didn't commit themselves as members. Because members in a church, they want to hear from the announcement what are the next events that are coming. They want to hear from the announcements what is happening during this coming week. because they would love to be part of whatever is happening in the week. They want to be part of whatever occasion that takes place in the church. So therefore, announcements for members becomes very important. And those that care less about announcements, they are literally saying announcements are not speaking to me. They're not telling me anything because I'm not part of this. I'm not part of the church. And I cannot be listening to announcements if I'm not going to do anything about them. So announcements are very key to only those people that are committed to do something. Now, when people don't care about announcements, therefore you'll realize that those people, pastors cannot rely upon. Church leaders cannot rely upon, because those are the people that are not even interested in knowing that there's a death of a member or a member has lost a loved one. They're not interested in knowing that there's a wedding next week in the church. They're not even interested that there's a gathering of the youth next week. So there's a gathering of the ladies next week. So they don't want to know about that. And I want to emphasize that when people start to ignore and not take heed of announcements and just ignore announcements, you must know these are the type of people that are not part of the church. And therefore, pastors cannot rely upon, or church leaders cannot rely upon them. And that's very key for us to emphasize. Other members that pastors cannot rely upon are those that refuse to be part of church departments. Now, I want to emphasize that church departments are the nucleus of a church. They are the foundation of a church. They are the pillars of the church. Because when you've got church departments that are having leaders amongst them, and you're having members of the church departments, they're the ones who are actually participating towards the progress of the church. Remember that if there's no ushering department in the church, there's no worship department in the church, there is no counseling department in the church, and all these departments, a church will be disorganized. A church will not be functional at all, and it will be difficult to manage the church itself, because even the administrators would not know how to administrate the church. And also what it does with departments, it helps the people to be focused to certain duties. And of course also what it does, it helps members to actually choose department based on their skills and talents as well, so that they are fitted to a certain department and therefore be utilized more effectively in that department because of the skills that they have and also the talents that they have in their lives. Now, this is very important. Now, when somebody then doesn't want to become a member of a department, this particular individual say, don't rely on me. Pastor, don't trust me. Pastor, don't be, I don't want to be somebody that you can rely on me. So this is actually just a very subtle announcement to say, I don't want any leader in the church to rely on me. That is why I don't join church departments. And this type of people are the people that are sitting and warming benches, and they're part of just sitting in the church and the pews and the congregation, and they're just adding the number. They don't want to participate in anything, and that's the reason why they don't want to join church departments. Now, the other people that pastors cannot rely on are those who are reluctant to participate in church activities, because there are those people that we're having church activities that they don't want to be part of. And church activities are exactly like our open airs, our crusades, for instance, our conferences, and these are church activities that are taking place. And when you see people that don't participate in those, they're basically excluding themselves from the rest of the people. They don't want to be part of any other individual and any other activity that takes place in the church. So therefore, pastors and leaders of the church cannot rely on such people. The reason is because such people are excluding themselves in the activities of the church. Therefore, they're announcing that I don't want to be part of what is taking place in the church. So these are people that you cannot rely upon as church leadership. Now, I want you as an individual like that, who doesn't participate in the activities of the church, if that's not what you mean, that the pastors and the leaders should not rely on you. So please change that behavior. Start participating, therefore, in church activities, and the pastors and the leaders will rely on you because they would know that you want to be part of what is happening in the church. The other thing that's of very great importance, or rather a group that's more great important, that we emphasize that the pastors cannot rely upon, or leaders cannot rely upon, are those that will sacrifice not attending their own church activities because they've heard that there is a certain prophet or a certain man of God in town. Even though the person might be coming from internationally from another country and landing in this country, while there's something very important in their own churches, they can rather sacrifice and not go there, not go to the activities of the church, and go and listen to the prophet that is in town, to go and listen to the man of God who is in town. While your own church is suffering, it needs you, it needs your participation, it needs your work and your hands, and you are not there because there's a prophet that is in town. Now you can realize that these are people that pastors cannot rely upon. Because every time there's a minister of note in town or a prophet in town, and you are going to leave your duties, you are going to leave the activities that you're supposed to do in your church, and you are going to follow that particular prophet where they are. And that shows that you're not reliable at all. And therefore, the pastors and the leaders cannot rely on you. And I want to emphasize that these are type of people that cannot be relied upon. Now, the other group of people that pastors cannot rely upon, those that are not ready to commit with their resources in the church. Resources like finances, resources like their cars, their houses, and their own bodies as sacrifice and resources in the church. And that's very important that we emphasize that when you find people that are not ready to participate with their resources in the church, these are the people that you cannot rely upon. And I want to emphasize right now that it's very important that any person who regards themselves as reliable, any person who regard themselves as people to be relied upon. So therefore, they need to make sure that they commit with their resources as well, and therefore they can be relied upon. Now, there are those that hop from one church to another. One Sunday they're here, the other Sunday they're in another church, the other Sunday they've attended another church. You just don't know when are they in this church. Even though sometimes they've completed membership forms and they regard themselves as members of this church, but yet they are not present. They are hopping from one place to another. They are not in this church all the time. So therefore, you cannot actually bet on them and say they will be here because they are not committed at all. And pastors and leaders of churches cannot rely on such people because you are just not predictable. They don't just know that you are coming or not because you are moving from one church to another, and you call yourself visiting another church, and you're saying I'm visiting in order to grow spiritually, and that is detrimental for you as well. And I want to emphasize that people like that, they are not reliable, and leaders of churches cannot rely on them. Now, finally, we're having those that discourage others' commitment. And those are people that you cannot rely on as well. Because these are people that when others are committed, these ones are discouraging those that are committed. And they're trying to bring them down to make them less committed like themselves. So these are type of people that you cannot rely on. And they are intentional about discouraging others. And we know such people are not committed themselves, but they want to make others not committed as well. And pastors and leaders cannot rely on such people as well. I want to end up here today, your host, MIcornus Phokane. I'm the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. On this platform, we are restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God. And we always make sure that we do that through kingdom principles. And I hope that you are learning out of this platform. Therefore, you will share our social media platforms. Our Facebook page is Church Governance Solutions. My personal Facebook page, MIcornus Phokane. So please like and follow us on those pages. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok accounts as well under MIcornus Phokane. So please make sure that you share these platforms with your loved ones. And we got also our YouTube channel, which is under Young Men Empowerment Forum. YouTube channel under Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure that you click notification button as well and share these platforms with your loved ones. Could be your friends, could be your family, your relatives. It could be also your workmates, which is your colleagues at work. And the good Lord will bless you as you do that. And until we meet again with another topic, allow us to check out right here and say cheers for now.